What's up? Welcome to a new episode of Movie Schmovie. This is episode 479. My name is Steve, one of the co-hosts of the show, and as always, I'm joined by
Ron.
There's a possibility that I had a twin in my mother's womb, and I ate him. I'm John.
Yeah, there you go. A little pause there. It's good.
Yes.
Let it sit. Let it sink in.
You know, it's hard to know what would your twin's name be. Like, if you had a twin, Ron, would your parents have named you like Ron and John? Ronald and Donald? You know, would it have been that
That's
way?
a good question.
Donald would be a pretty good name.
Donald.
Yeah, I think he'd have like a name like Michael or something. Just a real.
Yeah, just a totally different name.
Yeah.
See, I would probably my family, since I was John the Third. I guess they would.
I didn't know you were a third.
I guess they would say there's too many John. Like, surely they wouldn't be like and John 3B. So maybe they would have gone with like, you know, the name that I almost had, but I think one of my cousins had it was Lindsay. So I might have been a Lindsay, if you know, or the twin might have been Lindsay, Twinsy, as we would have called him. But I don't know what they would have said. Since Lindsay was taken, it's hard to know. I don't know what the other options would have been. But I like the idea of John and Ron, or John and Tron. That's pretty cool.
That would have been
I like Tron.
That would have been a cool twins name, Tron.
Tron would have been really cool.
I'm glad we got that figured out. That's optimal right there.
Yeah.
That's a good brainstorm you guys got going.
Yeah.
Ron and Tron.
Ron, Tron, everyone's welcome to this new
Ron,
episode of
Tron,
the show.
John.
Anybody,
Yeah.
even if you don't rhyme with that, but we're glad you're here listening. Today's episode, we're going to go over some trailers, some news, hit the required viewing, and then basically what else anybody has seen. Some movies, some physical media, some shows, I'm sure. But I guess let's start with some trailers. I mean, today that they were recording, like I think 2 or 3 pretty, high-profile trailers. Some of them came out, and earlier this week there was another one I think we wanted to mention. But I guess we'll start off. I just wanted to mention Toy Story 5.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you'll get some mixed reactions from just the conversation around there being another Toy Story. You know, people's feelings about going out with Toy Story 3 or Toy Story 4, just like the franchise in whole, like just continuing it. Some people don't love it. Some people are here for it. I'll watch any Toy Story movie personally, you know, if they keep making them. And, you know, I feel like personally watching the trailer, I walked away feeling like, yeah, I'll watch that. And I'll probably watch any Toy Story movie they decide to make going forward. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something about hearing those voices, seeing those characters. Like, it is such a staple in my life and, you know, and now my kids' lives, my wife. Like, it's just, I don't know. There's something super special, unicorn level, something about Toy Story as a franchise for me, from, you know, the way I view it. And I think a lot of people hold it in such a high regard. And the trailer does something special watching it, you know, hearing the voices, seeing the characters, like I said before, the idea of bringing in technology, you know, because, you know, that's just today and that's the world we live in, you know, as parents.
Yeah, we should talk
all
about
of
the
us.
premise. If
Yeah.
anyone hasn't seen the trailer, it's basically like the hook this time seems to be that they are going up against basically an iPad or like a kid-oriented tablet game. But it's
like a
it's
leapfrog type
yeah,
thing
right.
mixed with an iPad. Yeah, exactly.
So it's I mean, so they're going to be able to get in some stuff that's going to feel like it's commenting on AI. They're going to get some stuff in there that's going to feel like it's commenting a lot on like screen addiction. And then narratively, it just provides an engine for our heroes to go up against something that, you know, in life. Like, I can tell you, Henry loved his action figures when he was a little kid, but he did not play with his action figures nearly as much as I did when I was his age. Like, he liked having them and collecting them, and kind of he would play with them, but he didn't disappear into other worlds with his action figures the way that I did. And it's like, you know, I think that was notable. And then of course we made the choice, some people would say the poor choice of you know, getting him into technology and screens, like, you know, from a fairly young age. So he did have those distractions. But I think he's not alone in his generation as far as people that sometimes do, you know, sort of active creative things on on technology, but they also disappear just like we all do, and and waste time and get stuck in them. So I think that's a hook. And so I would say that, like, yeah, generally I think you kind of hit all my points, Steve. I think with the Toy Story movies, they always seem to try a little harder, maybe not a little harder, but they always try to come up with a good reason why it's back. And I think thus far they have typically had a pretty good story hook, a difference to make. This one takes on this idea. This one takes on this idea. This feels like an idea. So I think in the trailer, the stuff that works for me and gets me psyched is the stuff that feels new and different. And then the stuff that I won't say works against me, but just doesn't excite me is the stuff that feels very familiar. And so some of it does feel like, oh, they're back in a bedroom and they're making this kind of scheme. And then I think it is cool. They've transferred owners, that there's like the Andy trilogy and now we're in the Bonnie era of the series. I like all that. But yeah, there's certain things that make me wonder, like how many of the same beats. They even comment on it in the trailer. They're like, oh, I'm glad they're fighting again, talking about Buzz and Woody. I mean, some of that's going to be fun, but one of the things that was cool about the last one was it ended with a legit sort of change to the status quo. And this movie seems like it is dealing with the fallout of what happens at the end of part 4. So I don't know. I'm definitely on board, like you said, Steve. These movies always have something going on that makes them worth watching, and particularly the first 3 were really special to me. In that, I'll go back to my son. They were some of the first movies he watched. The first movie he saw in a theater was Toy Story 3. I was bawling at the end of that movie, looking at him and thinking about what that movie's about, and the way that movie ends, thinking that was going to be the last time. So I don't know. I'm happy to see these characters again, and yeah, I agree. They've got me kind of hooked with this series, even if there are about half the trailer does feel like this doesn't even look like new footage. This just looks like some of the similar shots I've seen of these characters running around. But, maybe a back to basics feel will work. It's just, sometimes watching a movie is a much more interesting experience than being sold the movie in a trailer.
Yeah, for sure. Really recently, how do I say this? Because I don't want to, this is new information. A friend of mine passed away in Miami, and a lot of people don't know that she did, and it's coming up towards Maryland, the news. But we bonded in '95 over Toy Story. I bought the video game on Sega. It was one of the craziest things. I guess one of the things that we bonded over, she and I, was like, we were Disney Classics fans, and to go from classics to Toy Story in '95 was revolutionary. It was like jarring almost. I remember my mother saying that she got sick looking at the movie. Like it was like too 3D for her. She's like, this is a whole movie like this. This is crazy.
Well, the people especially looked pretty creepy in those. That first one.
Yeah. And so I remember being a guy in middle school bonding with this girl who was like way more popular than I was over this movie that just like it was cool that she was nerdy about movies. It was like one of the strangest. I was like, you watch all these Disney movies? She's like, look, I watch Toy Story, but I love the classics. And then we saw the movie and we like could not believe how good it was. It packed so much of a punch, given the medium had changed. And I was like, I think I'm in. I think I'm in for this. And I randomly think about this person a lot just because that was my entry point to Pixar. And I just want to say, rest in peace. I mean, once the information comes out, I'll be a little more forward about it. But yeah, and I think when I saw this trailer, I think I was looking for something a little newer, and I think I kind of agree with John. Like, it's a kind of a retread, but I watched Toy Story. It feels more like this felt like a Disney Plus thing more than it felt like a theatrical thing, and I think that's what hit me really quickly. I was like, this feels like the concept doesn't feel as grand as the other ones felt. but that might be for a reason. I think this may be the beginning of a bigger thing. Like we may be looking at a very small part of a very big story that's coming up that maybe they're burying the lead. Because there's always a big adventure, and this doesn't feel big enough in the trailer for me. But
well, we don't know what the story is. I mean, we know that like there's a new toy that's taking attention away, and we know that it brings Woody back, or the characters kind of are all in one place again. So I don't know. There is something about the fact that this is like a minute and a half sort of teaser is also another thing that makes it seem like you're not getting the whole thing. And I guess Pixar always does that, right? They don't market you the whole story.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. So another trailer that we've all seen, which is for a remake of the film The Trip, and this is directed by Jorma Taccone from Lonely Island, and starring Jason Segel and is it Samara Weaving, and Timothy Oliphant, another fave. And it's called Over Your Dead Body, or is it Over My Dead
Correct.
Body? Over Your Dead Body. It would be cool if I had notes, wouldn't it? But I do not. I honestly thought this looked really fun. I know remakes, especially unnecessary remakes at times of movies that, if it's an international movie that makes it to the United States, or a non-English speaking movie, I should say. And it's like people can read subtitles. This is a fun movie to watch. This works. Right. This works just fine. I sometimes get mad that they think American audiences need that, but when they're gonna make one anyway, I like it when they get a good team involved. And I think that this team looks good, and I think that the movie looks good. And the question you said it before we started recording, Ronald. The question is always in the American version: Are they gonna be as like real or true to the concept as a European film or a Scandinavian film can be.
It gets pretty mean-spirited,
right. And sometimes the United States, like we're known for kind of trying to cuddly up movies sometimes when it comes to that. So, but I don't know, maybe we're in an age and this is a team that would know part of the appeal here is to not be that way. So I think it looks really fun. But yeah, I had the same thought you had, Ronald, of like, okay, when I read the paragraph, I was like, oh, do we need a remake of that movie? The Trip? Did we watch it for the show? Did we talk about it on this show?
Yeah, we talked about it on the show.
Okay. We talked about it on the show.
And really enjoyed it. Like I remember feeling like invigorated. Like it was just such a fun concept, a cool analysis of relationships. And
I remember that I liked it a lot and you liked it a lot, and then you said they're never going to remake this, it's so good. And I said, I bet you $10,000 that they remake this. And then we spit on our hands and we shook hands. Do you remember that?
Oh damn. He said, I bet it was weird because you said $10,000 American dollars. I was like, what the hell happened to your voice, man?
I did. That was the one time that I let my fake American accent slip. And my entire time as a mole, that's the only time that I've ever slipped. We'll cut this part out, right? For
sure.
No, what do you think, Steve, of this one?
I'm all in. Yeah, I love everybody involved. Jason Segel. I love Samara Weaving. I love seeing her more. Like, hopefully this gets more of a push, some sort of release plan. I think when's it come out in April? Is that what it was? But
I think so.
Really fun trailer. Kind of the synopsis of. For those not familiar, did you already say a dysfunctional married couple retreats to a secluded cabin to repair their relationship, but each secretly plots to murder the other? It's great. I mean, it's great.
It's such a great concept,
and they're great casting for that concept. Like Samara's kind of become this like scream queen, and to kind of see her in a movie like this dark, even though it's got comedy in it, it is dark, but. Yeah, but and also just see Jason Segel in some more stuff. I'm a fan of his. Obviously, he's kind of hit a run with Shrinking and whatnot. But this trailer is really, really funny, really good. And the Oliphant factor. Also, Juliette Lewis is in it.
Yes,
it's a cool cast. So yeah, I'm very excited. Prior to the trailer, I did not know, or maybe I saw the article about the remake, but I did not know that it was coming anytime soon and wasn't even on my radar. So this was a pleasant trailer to see come out today.
Do you guys watch the Mummy trailer? Lee Cronin's The Mummy?
Yeah. It's funny. I saw the I just saw the teaser in theaters.
Yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah, like recently, and didn't think much of the teaser.
I thought it looked creepy, and I thought it looked like a cool, interesting way into the Mummy kind of mythos. I thought it looked interesting in that way, and kind of just unique or something, a fresh take. But yeah, it didn't give you much. But this trailer really gives you a lot, and
yes.
I would say a lot of it really works for me. A lot of it looks really pretty darn creepy and like an effective idea that feels like maybe they're overselling the story or giving us a little. It feels like they're giving us a lot in this trailer, but I think the idea that they sell is a cool. Like it feels like a cool spin on the concept of what a mummy is and how it's going to hit some of the beats that we expect a mummy movie to have. I mean, really, what you need is like a person who's back from the dead, and then they start killing folks. I mean, that's pretty much the heart of the mummy thing. But you know, I still want to see somebody wrapped in bandages. You know, I don't know.
It's crazy, man. Like the way that this guy works, I'm like, how close is this going to be to the new Evil Dead? Like, I saw elements of the last Evil Dead in this. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck is the new Evil Dead going to look like? If this is, because it feels so like there's a chaos that he was trying to replicate that's in the originals that I think he pulled off beautifully. That also feels like it's in this too. And I'm like, what? I thought this was it. Yeah, I'm down for it, but it just.
No, but you're right about creepy kids. It's like it's a real through line from the Evil Dead Rise, which I thought had some really good scares in it, and some. But you're right that like the way they look, the kind of jacked, the eyeballs, and I hadn't thought about that.
Stuff being dragged and something coming out of somebody's mouth. I'm like, this is all very similar to the Evil Dead thing, but it looks different at the same time. It's interesting. Yeah. I'm down. I'm ready.
No, it's a good trailer. I think.
Yeah, it's crazy.
This is in the Blumhouse Atomic Monster world of like, kind of what they've been doing to kind of hit these universal monsters like from a different angle.
Yeah.
You have Invisible Man and Man and the Mummy.
Don't get me started on Invisible Man. That's a good one.
Loved Invisible Man. But I feel like the same concern I had with the Wolfman one, like this one a little bit, like this idea of like the character that you're expecting to John's point, like you kind of want to just see a mummy, like like the approach of like it being like a possession type thing, or there's like that angle. If that's the angle into this story, who knows where it goes. But the newer trailer for me worked a lot better. Also to see more of the cast. And some of the imagery of the child, and I like the idea of like what happened to Katie or whatever the angle is, and that she's been gone for 8 years, and it's like just a cool idea to get into that story. And there's even a line in the trailer like how many were found and how many were alive, and like they don't answer the second question, I don't think, but it's like in terms of these sarcophaguses, it's like. I like that setup and maybe what that could look like or could be. And again, your point, Ronald, Lee Cronin, the Evil Dead Rise, I loved. So it was cool that he's got some involvement with this, and for sure, I'll check this out. I mean, the trailer definitely works.
I only have one thing about this. You're making me think about this when we talk about the Wolfman movie. Mm-hmm. Don't take 50 minutes for us to get into this.
Yeah. Okay.
That's one of the things that irritated the hell out of me. Like,
right.
It really took a long time to pick up in terms of just if that's the name of the movie, show us. Even if it's in little chunks, like it really took a while for that to develop.
Right. I think you're right. I think there's maybe this is. I'd have to rewatch the movie and the trailer, to see if this is true, but I'm not going to do that, so I'll never know. But like, I think sometimes there's just when does the movie catch up to the trailer, or when does the movie catch up to the premise you were sold?
Yes.
And a lot of movies, if it's like more than halfway in, and then you're finally getting to the plot blurb that you would read, it's like, we need to get there a little bit faster, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think especially with a movie like that, when you can see where certain things might be going. I think the better parts of that movie, though, were the sustained tension parts of it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if this concept gets off and running and we do like these characters and we do like these performers in the Mummy movie, I don't doubt that Lee Cronin can stage some cool sequences, because that's what works about Evil Dead Rise is the
totally
just the cool sequences. I'm just looking, wasn't his first movie The Hole in the Ground? I never watched that, but doesn't that have a creepy kid in it too?
It does.
So maybe he should change his name to Lee Creepy Kid. It's late. I'm tired. That's the best you're going to get.
Oh, that's good.
So another trailer that just came out a couple days ago, but it's a bigger look than we've had yet at this movie. Coming in May, we have The Mandalorian and Grogu. And we just got like a little 2.5 minute, a trailer that gives us a little bit more story and that definitely tries to depict like different environments in a different sort of scope. So my thoughts on Mandalorian and Grogu are thus. Grogu still works like gangbusters on me. I still giggle every time he does some little puppety movement or shrugs or drops his head or whatever. I still think Grogu works. I think there's a couple of shots that look really cool story-wise. I'm interested to see what they do with this. Some of the action looks really fun and kinetic, and I think Jon Favreau can be trusted to understand the assignment of like doing a Star Wars movie means you have some propulsive sequences in it, you know?
Yeah.
And this is not necessarily a knock on it, but you could take it as one. I still think it looks like the show. I still feel like it looks like TV Star Wars. And I just, maybe that'll change. So maybe seeing it on a big screen and everything's set right, it will look very cinematic. But I'm so used to the way the shows look that it does feel like even the logo looks sort of like TV-sized Star Wars blown up to the big screen. I say that because the MCU shows have the same thing. They rarely feel like they're really touching the production value of the movies, which is fine. But the original idea that was given to us when they started doing these Disney Plus shows was it'll be like a seamless continuity, the same creative talent going in. So yeah, I think this looks like a lot of fun, and I have a feeling that I'll get sucked into it. But it does feel like, it might be just like the Mandalorian itself, where you still have sort of stiff scenes. Like if you talk about like the dialogue scenes and some of the exposition scenes on The Mandalorian, they weren't done with the kind of artfulness of, say, Andor, where the dialogue is really good and the characterizations are allowing the actors to really show something. It still feels like, we know what Jon Favreau doing this content looks like because he's done some episodes of Mando. So yeah, I think it looks fun, but I don't know that it looks kind of to what you're saying about Toy Story, Ronald. They've got me hooked, but it doesn't look like we're getting that much that feels that new without knowing a little bit more about the story and the stakes. And Star Wars always plays it close like that. Like, maybe the last couple trailers that come out right before it comes out will be more story based. But at this point, they're trying to market it just on, hey, don't you love Grogu? Hey, don't you love those little Babu Frick aliens that you met in the Rise of Skywalker? They're here too. So yeah, what do you guys think of the? And I guess I'll add to that. What do you think of the chances of this movie being the right kind of scale and scope to kind of take something that we know has hit with people, which is Grogu, right, and capitalize on it to make whatever this movie has to make? It doesn't seem like they spent as much on it as they sometimes do. So what do you think this movie's chances are of exciting people, or even just reinvigorating Star Wars' sense of they know what they're doing?
I think it has a good shot at like kind of reinserting Star Wars maybe into the mainstream a little bit. It's weird, like the timing of everything is feels very weird and off to me. And Star Wars itself feels in like a really weird rut.
Yeah.
Right now, that obviously this is a bit of a like play the hits kind of approach to what has worked the best in the last, whatever 5+ years.
Yes.
Is this show and these characters. So it's like, I guess their best attempt to get some positive momentum going. And I think that's very clear in what you just said, John, in terms of, you have Favreau involved, you have the characters, you have what works so well with the show, and all that's kind of being packaged and kind of promoted into a cinematic theatrical experience. And you're doing it like for not the insane budget that a lot of the Star Wars stuff is, and kind of immediately makes it fail unless it makes $1 billion. So I think that's like a new model,
Right.
that they're trying to adapt, and so it's hard to say. I mean, I really feel like this movie has a good chance of succeeding because there is a lot of love for that show and for these characters. But I think the perspective is really hard to judge because Star Wars is so different now. It's such a I mean, I really do feel like it's a very hurt franchise.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And you know what they say, hurt franchises hurt people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I was gonna say, I'm connected to this show because of COVID, and my brain is like,
Sure.
I was in a different place then, and I wonder how people are gonna feel about watching it not in pajamas.
Right, right.
I mean, it's a valid
No
point.
offense to
I mean,
it,
it's
you
like
know what I mean?
there's a
Like,
comfort to it, to
hell
the
yeah.
consumption of it.
Yes, man. Like
Sure.
we were in a weird place, and this. I think one day there's going to be a real media during that time sort of book that comes out, and how it really saved us in a lot of ways. Like, it saved our sanity. It saved, there were these sources of media between Netflix and Disney Plus and HBO Max and Peacock. Man, we were looking at things that were literally saving us, like maintaining our sanity while a bunch of stuff was happening. So my brain is attached to that idea.
Sure.
Now, in terms of the looks of this show, the good part about Mandalorian is it looks better than most things. And even if it's a TV show version of it, it still looks better than most things that I'm gonna see with spaceships and monsters and aliens that speak weird subtitled languages. And that seems to be, that thing wins
And bad
me
guys
over.
who have British accents.
Yeah, yeah. So you got me. The good part about it, yeah, I think the bruise that you're referring to is just, man, I think the Disneyfication of things is a real stretch. It's like Disney's the worst drug dealers. Like, they're like, let's stretch this coke out. What can we put in it? Rat poison? What can we put in it? What can we put in here? We got some Ajax. We got, and that's what it feels like sometimes. Like, we've stretched these properties out to almost nothing. Like, they really cut it with everything. They cut it with the keep it strong. We need that fresh Colombian right off the boat. But for some reason, they keep giving us, they give us this watered down. And I think that some of that has to do, again, Disney is used to presenting things and it not missing. And there's nothing wrong with that. Culturally, they win more than they lose. But if you ask the internet, they've lost. And I don't think that's necessarily true. But they've taken a chunk out of, like you said, we're trying to say this without being assholes. They have for sure bruised the property, the Star Wars property.
Or I mean, even if we're going to be charitable and say it's the way things go with a franchise that's this big, that like the Disney era has been like an extremely divisive era as far as, I mean, there were people that loved the prequels and hated the prequels, but it never felt as toxic as it does around certain shows like The Acolyte or certain movies like The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker have a lot of like debate about them. And The Rise of Skywalker has been just all but memory hold by most people. People don't really like, there's more that people don't like about that movie than that they like. And so people have kind of tried to back away from this feeling that it was supposed to be the biggest movie yet, and it ended up being kind of a wet fart for a lot of folks. So I kind of think that, like, whatever you think of that, how do you keep a franchise alive for that long? Disney can do it, like they are evil, but they can make good shit, so I don't know, there is a way that it could have been just smooth sailing, but I guess what I'm wondering is, in this modern age with the way that like fandoms on social media work and everything, I wonder if it could have ever been like a home run and not hit the same kind of culture war turbulence that it has hit, because it has just made their intentions seem really confused. And that's why something, down the middle idea, like, hey, you like The Mandalorian and Grogu? Well, we're going to give you a movie about The Mandalorian and Grogu. It's like, okay. I mean, by all accounts, it's practically like some scripts from the show that were smashed together and then turned, like some stuff that would have been in season 4 that have been turned into a movie. I've heard conflicting reports about that. Jon Favreau makes it sound like this material was different, and he has the scripts for season 4 like sitting on his desk ready to go if they greenlight it. But I also heard that this material is basically like, material that was where they were going to go with the show next. So it's just, it'll be interesting to see how it holds together as a movie. But it looks fun. And there's that weird, creepy snake thing, the white snake in the cave part. That looks like a good monster.
I like that. Yeah, that's cool.
I like good monsters, Ronald.
Me too.
I haven't quite latched onto like the way the huts look. The fully CGI huts still look a little bit weird to me. And then when they cut to the puppet, if they ever show you the puppet, it just looks, that's what Jabba looks like to me.
Yeah.
And I understand why they don't do that with the new ones, but I almost feel like maybe they should make the CGI look like the puppet. You know what I mean? Instead of making it look like, oh, this is what he should have been, they just don't quite, something about the proportions. They look cartoony in a way that doesn't quite work.
They also make the eyes too pretty. That's
kind of what I mean. They have like big, pretty eyes. And when you look at Jabba, he's got big eyes, but they're weird. They're not like,
am I supposed to be turned on?
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course. I'm a hut slut.
Jabba ain't nothing but a BBW.
Although I don't know, he doesn't really have a few of the defining characteristics.
That's true.
He's got the B. He's definitely B. And then the last trailer we were going to talk about, I think this is the last one, is the trailer for season 3 of House of the Dragon, which came out today and is really a big teaser for, I don't know, there might be a little bit more of like a character focus or story focus in the later trailers, but this is a real catnip trailer to people like myself that know the lore from the book Fire and Blood, that like, if you know what they teed up at the end of last season, like it gets rough, really fast with this war that's kind of kicked off now, but amongst the family. So it promises to be a huge season. And I've even heard them say that like there was a lot of like battle scenes and stuff that went into this season that made it kind of an epic season. And last season was a little bit more like leading up to that than necessarily having those things. So yeah, I'm fully hooked on this show. I love it. I do think, having enjoyed Night of the Seven Kingdoms so much, it's like you watch this and it seems like a shrewd time to drop this trailer, because it is a little bit of a way of saying, okay, Night of the Seven Kingdoms ends this week, and then here's this reminder that this epic shit that House of the Dragon can do, it makes it feel more special maybe, now that we've had the sort of more good-natured, simple, streamlined storytelling on the other show. So it feels to me like Game of Thrones, the universe, is in a really good, or Song of Fire, what is it, Song of Ice and Fire? Is that what we call the whole franchise? It seems to me like it's in a good place. It's like they are at the point where we might be able to talk about this show and these shows without talking about how badly the original show ended. I feel like there's potential now to have like, I used to think about that with Star Wars. It's like, well, if I liked the first 3 and then I didn't like the prequels, it's like, well, that's a 50% average right now of like quality. You want to get away from that. And I think Game of Thrones is now edging towards having like 2 or 3 kind of seasons that weren't great, and then a lot of other seasons that were great. So, I love this world. And I think that like, the way Night of the Seven Kingdoms plays with the with the exact dialogue taken from the novellas, and the way that House of the Dragon plays with these family stories and these epic stories that they tell.
Sure.
It just underscores to me what a fucking great storyteller George R.R. Martin is, and like how good he is at cooking up plot and character. And it's really strange what has happened to his series. The fact that he is now stuck on a book that was supposed to come out 15 years ago, or maybe not 15 years ago, but a long time ago.
Long enough, yeah. And
he is now working on all these other projects, and he's written supposedly 1,500 pages, and he's still going. So yeah, very weird franchise, but I like these current shows a lot. Ronald, what did you think of the trailer for House of the Dragon?
Exciting. Count me in. I don't know if they do like family politics quite like, I've never quite seen it done like this. You know, like Game of Thrones is always these kingdoms and relationships within the family, and I love it. I love it. And it the fact that it's just the relationships alone could be a show, and then you throw in a dragon.
Yeah.
You know, and you throw in, you know, some mysticism. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's I don't think you can get any more perfect. Yeah, I don't love every, you know, I didn't think that every episode was perfect, but I think that there's perfection in the type of storytelling that they're doing. And I just, you know, I'm in.
Steve?
Yeah, I feel the same. I mean, last week we were talking about Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and it's just like, yeah, you want, or however you feel about, you know, how Game of Thrones ended, you know, I think they're in a little bit of a sweet spot right now where they are kind of getting these spin-offs off the ground pretty successfully. You know, House of the Dragon is a success, and Night of the Seven Kingdoms has definitely caught on as like kind of a successful show. And it's kind of, it's one of those things where like the season's ramped up with every episode, which is a huge success.
Mm-hmm.
So to kind of see this one coming out with this trailer, which is going to air at the end of the season finale, which is this Sunday, you know, just to tell everybody, like, hey, come back, you know, we're back. Like, you know, you're going to get a nice helping of Game of Thrones-ness this year, in that, you know, you have a new show, and that's kind of their plan, is to kind of have these things, you know, alternate years or alternate seasons, you know, and to get, and there's other ones in development that are going to be happening, so that they can kind of keep that appetite satisfied. And I think it's kind of a pretty good move on HBO's part to kind of have these come out this year, you know, basically within 6 months or so of each other, just to kind of really kind of double down on what people want to see on HBO, which, you know, this genre, this property is massive globally. And the trailer's great. I mean, you know, like to see the characters, to see the scale, like John mentioned, to kind of see that you will see those battles and those fights that you had hoped for maybe in season 2 that we just didn't get for a lot of reasons, including the strike and the kind of reworking different things for the season. But yeah, the trailer's really great. Always love seeing dragons, you know, dragons with fire, you know, it's just really cool. And it's kind of cool too to see this season coming after Night of the Seven Kingdoms, like, you know, in terms of the timeline that these spinoffs are placing you in this world, you know, to kind of see the juxtaposition of peak strength Targaryen dragon, and then you get into Night of the Seven Kingdoms, you're like, none. You know, it's just like the remnants of, like, there are no more.
No, I was just saying to Henry this morning, I love that we've gotten three, like in the shows, 3 different like eras of the Targaryen family. That in Game of Thrones, there really are no Targaryens except for a few secret ones, and then Daenerys. And she's like alone in the world. And it's like this whole feeling of like, we hear the history and, oh, it's horrible to be a Targaryen alone in the world and everything. But we don't really know what that means, you know? And then we now have seen them at peak strength, or at the moment where they start to fall, but like they have the dragons, they have their atom bombs,
right.
And then we've seen on the new show this era that's like not like panicking to hold on to power, but it's like there's a lot of talk about how they have dragons on their banners and dragons on their armor and dragons on their shields, but there's no fucking dragons anymore.
I know,
and
dude.
like there's talk about the weakness and the vulnerability there. And we know that like there's a couple of opportunities. There's some rebellions and a few major like insurrections that have to be put down by the royal family that could make for great like movies or miniseries set in this world. And I've heard tell that they're trying to develop one of those like big rebellions or battles to have it, maybe a miniseries or maybe maybe a theatrical film. I know that that's one of those things they keep talking about.
Oh, cool.
So there's
cool.
there's a lot of really cool storytelling that could happen, and there's even characters in this show that could be a big part of one of those. Like so, like it's a cool universe, and they typically have cast these characters well. So yeah.
Yeah, no, just it's exciting to see it, and I think that's a big approach, you know, to kind of getting these spin-offs working well, is that piece that you just said, like, you know, to kind of get a different flavor of this family or this dynasty and other families too, like the ebbs and flows of their strength and their power, but the through line is, you know, this iconography, this dragons, and you know, like the knights, and yeah, I don't know, it's really great stuff, I think. And I really the trailer, the trailer's awesome, so can't wait for that to start.
Before we move on to required viewing, we wanted to talk about a few people that have left us recently, and I guess the big one for movie fans or just anyone who's aware of culture, I suppose. Robert Duvall died at age 95 this last week.
Crazy.
And what struck me immediately was I started thinking of course, the classic films he's in, whether large roles or small, you know, Apocalypse Now, The Conversation, Godfather 1 and 2. And then his, you know, like different eras of his career, really, where he kind of came out as a different sort of guy. I mean, he's in Network. A lot of people like Tender Mercies, which was a big movie for him. They loved him in the Western, the television miniseries Lonesome Dove. But I was like, I sat there and I was like, wait, has there ever been a time when Robert, I mean, he's not to say he hasn't been in some shitty movies, I'm sure he has, but has he ever not been solid as fuck and like convincing?
Never.
And unique. So. I can't think of another actor like him who has that energy. And the fact that he went from, when he was young, he played a lot of like sort of establishment dudes or corporate dudes or lawyers or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he got older and he hit this gruff kind of Western kind of, you know, element that he could play. And then he could also play heavies and guys that you thought were kind of scary almost. I don't know. I just think it's an interesting career to have and such longevity. And I don't know what the last thing I saw him in was, but I don't think it seemed like he had missed a step or anything. I mean, I don't remember ever thinking like, oh man, Robert Duvall's, you know, not what he used to be. I don't know. Do you have a favorite performance, Ronald, or anything about him that stands out to you?
Godfather, right? Yeah, no, that's tops to me. But man, I feel like we saw him at Days of Thunder, man.
Yeah,
Something
we saw him in that
about,
recently. Yeah,
I don't know what it is about that performance. It just, he's so lovable in that movie, and his reactions to Tom Cruise getting better. You know, it's just like this. You just gotta hone it in. We know you're good. We know you're an asshole. Just make it work. And then when it works, Robert Duvall's like, you know, that's all I wanted you to do. There's something about that. It's just simple. That effortless charisma, man. He had it. He had it, and you know, it's so strange seeing all these people pass away. You know, you want them to stay forever. You know, these people are forever in our experiences with movies. And, you know, the cool part is we can it's like a picture, you know, we can pick it up and watch it again and see him in motion and recite some lines. But damn, it's really sad to hear that he's passed. Even when somebody's old, you know, you want them to live forever. Yeah.
Especially someone like that who seems like they have kind of what we were saying about the Cragley guys. Like, he's been old for as long as you can remember. So it's hard to accept that now he got legit old, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Steve, do you have a particular favorite?
I mean, obviously there's all the classics. You guys have mentioned a few of them already, but I'm thinking of like movies I remember seeing him in, not and maybe like a reaction of like, oh, he's going to be in this, and he's really great in this, and actually I really like this movie. But one that we've talked about on the pod before was his performance in Falling Down. We've also talked about The Natural. Again, one of my favorite movies. And he's incredible in that. I was going to also say Sling Blade.
Yes.
Also, just wow. And one that like doesn't get love at all as a film, and it's more one of the more recent ones. Widows.
Oh yeah.
Widows. Maybe one of the best casts of 2018.
Yeah.
And,
holy
Steve
shit!
McQueen film, and like he's in that,
It's a great
and he's
movie,
fucking
man.
great in it, and everybody's great in that movie. But yeah, it's one of the more recent ones, and he was also in that other one that actually probably the most recent one, little more slight, but what's the Netflix Hustle, the Adam Sandler movie.
Oh yeah,
that came out about the basketball coach. He's in that too. Smaller
Who is
role.
he in that?
He's one of the team owners, or like he's
wow.
or something with the team or the organization, like from the sports the team side, 76ers, I think. But yeah, no, to John's point, like I feel like he's just one of the more consistently great actors. Like even in maybe some not great movies, he was always so fun to watch and just so like I don't know, as silly as it sounds, like, you know, and it's a weird thing when you look at like, I don't know, the modern era of acting. I don't know what you want to call it, the new Hollywood that he was a part of, but like real actors, like just like truly. And I was fortunate enough to meet him in one of my older jobs. He was in a film, maybe not one of his better films, but what was it called? Gods and Generals. It's like a
Civil War movie, right?
Yeah, Civil War movie, right. That like, you know, they did a lot of press for it in the Baltimore, DC area, for a lot of the military branches and things like that. And like, you know, him and I think Scott Cooper and a couple other actors from that movie were in town. And I mean, like, to be able to meet a legend like that, and he was so kind and so nice and just like a real person. That was a highlight of that job as a part of my history. It was to meet him during that. But yeah, man, what an awesome life. I mean, yeah, like you said, Ronald, like anytime, even when he's that old and he lived such a long, successful, full life, it seems from all accounts. But yeah, sad to see him go. Glad and appreciative of all that he did, and all the films that, like you said earlier, like we'll always be able to watch these things, and he's always at least very good in pretty much everything he's been in.
Yeah, I'll just throw out there. I mentioned a lot of stuff that is like what he's best known for, but I always love seeing him pop up in To Kill a Mockingbird, which I think may have been his first on-screen role.
Yep.
And also a movie I believe he directed this movie. Yeah, he wrote and directed this movie from 1997. And it's really good. The Apostle.
Oh yeah, great.
That's one that is you know, since he wrote, directed, and starred in it, that might be a good one. If you haven't seen that one, put it on. It's got a great cast, you know. Billy Bob Thornton, Farrah Fawcett, Walton Goggins, sort of an early role for him. Miranda Richardson. Yeah, totally. I mean, similar to when Robert Redford died, this is just a guy who's been kind of like, and you know, when Robert De Niro goes, it'll be this way too. And when Al Pacino goes, it'll be this way too, where you just go, oh yeah, kind of what you said, Steve. Like, for whatever reason, we've grown up with these guys as like examples of acting.
Totally.
And he's just one of those people. And the word gravitas, we haven't said it yet, but that's the thing. That's the Duvall thing. He brings that. And, you know, you can maybe train someone to do that, but I think he feels like a guy who really had that, and he brought it to his acting. So you sort of feel like there's something special about that. And then, Tom Noonan, not an actor who's had quite the career, but a guy who's definitely like an exalted that guy actor. If you followed his movies, you know probably some of these films I'm about to reel off. He has important parts in Manhunter. He plays Francis Dollarhide. He plays, I also think he's the bad guy in Last Action Hero.
He is.
He's Frankenstein in the Monster Squad. He has a great part that kind of plays on his career, I think, in House of the Devil. So as long ago as 2009, he was kind of doing one of those like, it's like a cameo role in a horror film. Dee Wallace also has a small role in that film. So it felt like it was the kind of casting, like Ty West got some of these actors that are known for horror to be in some smaller roles. That always feels like a move you can do sometimes with independent horror. And Tom Noonan in that plays a guy who's like perfectly creepy and nice, and he plays it so quiet and gentle. And if you know his roles and the kind of parts he can play, he could play creepy, and he could also play like really like earthy and folksy and gentle kind of. So I just think that he's a real presence, and he's one of those guys who I think he was like a pretty poetic soul and maybe even a writer. And I don't know, what all did he do? Actor, director, and screenwriter. But yeah, some of the things he was suited to play on screen were some of these kind of monstrous parts. And I think it has a lot to do with his physicality. He was like 6'5" and had a real kind of placid stare that was unsettling if he was playing something, kind of monstrous like that. So Tom Noonan was just somebody, when I saw his name come up this week, he died at 74. Just a couple days ago. Actually, he died on Valentine's Day.
Rest in peace, man.
Yeah. Well, that's our little trip to Downer Town. Does anybody want to mention anybody else? I mean, it's also not as much about entertainment, but I say because Jesse Jackson did host SNL one time when I was a kid, and it stood out to me. I think that's that's another like era-defining voice person that, certain things he stood for when I was a kid. He was one of the first people who introduced me to those notions. You know what I mean? Like he was like the symbol of like a mainstream voice that was talking about some of these racial concerns in a very potent kind of mainstreaming a lot of that talk that he's been around as long as I can remember. So that's a big deal.
Yeah. I always thought there was like he always got a bad rap for not being Martin Luther King. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that is. Like, it's like you aren't quite that person for people. Yeah. So any other attempt to, he's been there since the beginning.
I didn't want to say it, but you brought it up. Like, I actually am really disappointed in you that you're not as good as Gandhi.
Thanks, man. Thanks for saying it to me, because I felt it. Every time I would do something, you just like, I could see you get the Arthur fist. It's kind of like get the balled up.
Anytime I see you kind of screw something up, I think, God, Gandhi would have knocked that one out of the park.
Yeah, Jesus Christ would have did better than that.
Yeah, Jesus Christ too, Steve. You're so not Jesus. I just want you to know that.
So sad.
Yeah, man, and it just felt like during that time, the civil rights movement, there was like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and then everybody else kind of fell to the wayside in terms of like, anytime somebody would do something, it's like, he's no Martin Luther King. It's like, what? I mean, I feel like some of it is like, he was great, but there was also like a great deal of people for following him and helping him, and it was charismatic as shit. It's like there were other people that helped with the movement. So it's it's a strange thing that has always bothered me about Jesse Jackson. That stigma probably can't. I mean, he was literally on a balcony when Martin Luther King was assassinated. That's a heavy thing to walk around with.
Yeah, it is.
Witnessing such trauma and how weird the world can turn on you. But yeah, rest in peace. Rest in peace to Jesse.
And yeah, we won't look to see who else has died, because surely someone's died in the last 10 minutes.
Somebody did. McSteamy.
Yeah.
Is that Eric Dane? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That happened right before they
Rest in
announced
peace.
it.
Like,
Right before
come
we
on,
started
man.
recording.
Like, what is happening at this point? Is it like Saw? Is it just like a random person just choosing?
Saw. You're
I compare
suggesting
everything to
you're
Saw.
suggesting that Jigsaw
Yeah. Yes.
got Duvall,
Yeah.
Noonan, Jackson,
Yeah.
and Dane.
hmm
So
And
who's
for real petty reasons, like
with that? Who's next? You know what I mean? Like who could
yeah,
be
yeah.
next if that's who you've taken on?
Well, we're getting a Saw 4 and 5 where like his motives were really muddy. They were just like, you were mean to somebody one day. It's
Yeah.
like what?
No,
What
I think in the last one that I watched, there is somebody who like we see that he's like rude with somebody or whatever,
Yeah,
and then it's like
yeah.
I don't know if I believe this guy deserves to have his jaw ripped off or whatever, you know.
Oh man.
Although
Well,
I did love it on Hannibal because Hannibal has a similar thing about like killing rude people. There's a moment on that show
yeah.
where somebody uses a Kleenex and then wads it up and puts it on the table next to them, and you just see Hannibal
okay.
look at it, and you see a close up of the Kleenex on the table, and it's
Jeez.
like he's thinking like, all right, I'm going to kill and eat this man,
Jesus.
this boogery man. But let's move on to required viewing. I will pull up my image. Deep.
let's see it.
Let's see. How's it going to work this time? There you go. Hey, yeah.
There you go. Fit right between
I
them.
fit right in. I should have a little sim,
Yeah.
Where's your little
Simmons,
thing on top of it? Yeah.
little sim diamond, whatever you call those. So yeah, talk about why you picked it. Why did you inflict this on us?
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I said the same thing to him, man.
So yeah, I picked this year. Well, I guess the 2025's Twinless. Just been hearing about this movie a lot, even back at the end of 2024, from some of the festivals that it was at, Sundance, specifically. But this is written, directed, starring James Sweeney. Also stars Dylan O'Brien, Lauren Graham. This is a movie about a young man grieving the loss of his twin brother, who joins a support group for twinless twins and meets someone, and a relationship starts. And yeah, this is a dark comedy. I just heard great things. Like, John had talked about Send Help recently, and I've just heard such great things about that movie in general. And there's a bit of a Dylan O'Brien moment happening, I think, just because of his charm and charisma in doing press for that film. That's kind of put this one back on my radar, that I never got to catch when it was kind of around, first came out on digital. So yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like a good time to capitalize on his moment that he's having and go back and check it out. So yeah, what you guys think? Or did you know about it? What'd you think of it as you came to it?
It was on my radar, as they call it. It was on my radar. I'd heard about it. I'd seen the poster. I thought it was really cool that just so random. So the lady that's hosting the therapy session is Tasha Smith. She has a twin, Cedra Smith, which I thought was really dope, which made me want to see it even more because I love
Okay.
Tasha Smith. I don't know. I kind of saw her as a like a smaller character. The
Right.
This is one of those movies that I guessed within the first 15 minutes, and even though I did, I was still very shocked by how it unraveled and when it was going to give. And it really kept me entertained, and I cried a couple times. Like there were some scenes that just really hit me hard. I know that everybody isn't a twin, but you may have their siblings.
Right.
Sibling relationships are just one of those things. Like Aaron has seen my sister around each other talking, and sometimes it sounds like a different language to her. She's like, "What the fuck were y'all talking about?" It's just like, "Yeah, he too ass." It's just like you develop this real interesting bond with a sibling. And to see, I can't imagine how it is with a twin, but the places that it goes, the emotional, the challenges in it are really nicely done, and I like that this movie feels bigger because of the acting. This, I don't know how much this the movie cost, but it only took place in a couple places and was filmed, in the best way possible given the circumstances. I just
Right.
like when money is well spent. We've watched $50 million movies that shouldn't have been $50 million, and then we watch movies like this that just, I don't know how much it costs. It's like it just is
Right.
well done enough that I'm not even concentrating on that. The acting is just really cool. I guess this guy's getting on my radar, Dylan O'Brien. I like him and stuff. But this particular one, I know him from The Maze Runner. I think that's what I know him from the most. Love and Monsters. Holy shit, love that movie. Like,
Yeah,
loved it.
we love that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. So,
I haven't
you
seen it,
know,
but I know it's supposed to be good.
yeah, he's one of those guys that, and then Ego having that moment at the end.
I was going to say, did you guys see that clip? I love that clip.
Did you see it, Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, just genuinely one of the sweetest. Baltimore's own. We got to say that Baltimore's
There you
own.
go. There you go.
Ego.
But giving him a moment, like that's when you said he's having a moment, Steve. I was like, yeah, I felt like Ego was like, that's like to me the coalescing of that moment that she's doing that thing of like, oh, we're all kind of crushing on this boy right now. It's kind of fun. And you could see him kind of, I don't know, he seems like a pretty genuine sort. Like I might have
I
thought
think
of
so.
him as kind of like a pretty boy or kind of a teen actor or something like that at some point when I first saw him, but I think that I've seen him be too good a couple times now. So, and yeah, I'll just say I rolled into this movie thinking about that, having seen him in Sin to Help and having seen him very memorable to me. Like I think I mentioned this last time in the Saturday Night Live movie, whatever that was, that called Saturday Night? Was that the name of the movie? What was the name of that movie?
I think so. Yeah.
He played Dan Aykroyd in that, and he was really good and kind of convincing in a part that you can't quite figure out, like what kind of character are you playing if you're doing Dan Aykroyd. It's not as easy as like, oh, Belushi is sort of this larger-than-life personality. But at different times, Dan Aykroyd is like the coolest guy, and other times he's like a very weird, nerdy, guy. And I think Dylan O'Brien nails it in that movie. So yeah, I was coming into it for that, but James Sweeney was somebody who I really didn't know what to expect from him, and I looked, and I don't know if I would have seen him in anything. He's only really been in one other thing that he also wrote and directed and produced.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's a pretty interesting person to. I mean, I guess I'll say he seems pretty talented from this. So I will check out his other movie straight up at some point. But this movie, if you look at the marketing or the descriptions, they'll call it a black comedy or a black kind of a what did it say? Like a psychological comedy or something like that. And so I didn't know what kind of story I was in for. I don't know if, like what you said, Ronald, about kind of getting it, or to the extent that there's a twist. It does have some reveals and some character stuff going on, but the basic byline of it is just, and I always say byline, but I mean logline. The basic logline is that two guys who meet in a therapy group for people that have lost their twins have a relationship, have a friendship, and so we do get a little bit into that idea of like what you said, Ronald, the kind of mentality of having a twin and what that means and how much that's like having a secret language and all these inside jokes with somebody, but also having a very like I can't imagine how close of that relationship must be. I mean, I have a sibling that's almost like a year and a half older than me, but that's not the same thing as basically having another you in the house and someone who's growing up right alongside you. And this idea of losing that is the movie does a good job of taking that very specific thing and making it seem like, oh wow, that would be like an escalation of a feeling that we all can sort of relate to, which is just like having that person who means so much to you.
Yeah.
But the way the movie takes its twists and turns and the way that the kind of characters develop in it, like, we were joking a little bit about this being kind of a downer movie, but it is funny and entertaining as well. And I think that's the key element for me, is if it were just the sort of downer version of this story, I would be like, ugh. There's a lot of independent films that are well done and well acted and dramatic that I just don't enjoy watching because I don't enjoy wallowing in bad feelings or just that. I want there to be some more story impetus or something on top of just this is a terrible realistic story. Some of those movies can be great, but this movie is a little bit heightened in some ways. But the things that it got into that I thought, I'll just throw these out there, the things that got into it that I thought it handled well and that kind of really had me thinking. Dylan O'Brien's character has an anger problem, and like the movie sort of very realistically deals with his anger problem, and it's not about a guy dealing with his anger, and it's not about a guy not dealing with his anger. You're not meant to think it's cool or funny, but you're also not meant to see it as like, well, this guy's just trash. We get a picture of this character. He's a little bit reactive and can't control himself sometimes, when sometimes even like talking to his mom or dealing with anybody that displeases him. And so there's a little bit of a powder keg element to what is going on in the movie, and us thinking, oh, when he finally comes to a boil over what's happening in this movie, you're kind of bracing yourself, like, how is he going to handle it? And then James Sweeney's character has his own sort of stuff he's doing. It's not the same tension of the anger issue, but he is a guy who we see kind of dig himself in deeper throughout the movie, and we know it has to come to some point. And the fact that they managed to bring both of those things to a point kind of in a scene, I mean, that's just dramatically satisfying. And I thought that was impressive. And so, like, if this movie sounds like no fun, it's not like a laugh riot, but it does really keep you entertained. And there's a little bit of a mystery, or you're finding out about these characters and what they'll actually do when confronted with sort of the truth of their situation. And I want to mention, who is it? Aisling Franciosi, who plays Marcy. Yeah. She's really good in this. As is Lauren Graham in kind of a small role. But Marcy is such an interesting character because I think that I'm bringing her up because she's sort of the pinpoint of the kind of comic tone of the film, in that Marcy is a good person and a sweet person, and she's smart and fun, but she also is kind of a high-strung nerd. And the movie gets a few laughs out of like just James Sweeney's character, Dennis, kind of reacting to her being that way, as she's not being fake, but she's that kind of person who you could easily see sort of a cynical person looking at and going, ugh, I just can't stand this super positive person. And I just feel like that dynamic, when she becomes kind of part of that dynamic and not just a background character, you have the guy with the anger problem, you have the guy who's like hiding some truths about himself, and then you have someone who's sort of the most centered and balanced person, and really sweet and really smart, but also maybe a little like, almost like you think, oh my God, how does any relationship ever work with how different people can be and how different people's energies can be? I just thought, it had a lot of really, really believable characterizations, like the stuff I was just talking about, that really kept me going through a story that you could say is a little heightened or a little unbelievable, but I think the movie kind of tries to earn those elements.
Definitely. Yeah, I think the entertaining comical stuff in the movie is what balances it so well. I mean, I think the stuff that feels really real is well handled, and the performances, I think, are great. Especially, honestly, I thought Dylan O'Brien was great in this movie.
Yes.
He's so good in this movie. And it just kind of increases my stock in, him at the end of this, for sure. But yeah, I think that it's such a very, I don't know, great thing, challenging thing, hard thing to do with this kind of film, to really have enough of that entertainment and comedy that really is funny comedy. Yeah. Not just like awkward or uncomfortable only, but it's like genuinely funny, to kind of balance that out so that it's not too much going in one way or the other. This movie kind of tilts maybe a little more towards one, in terms of the tone, but it's just a really well handled, I think, in the fact that you have such great performances. You really have a buy-in on these characters, and kind of what you're learning about them and who they are and their interactions with one another. but the things that I'm talking about are what kind of moves the movie along. You don't get too stuck in that heavy stuff. You don't get too stuck in the dark stuff, um, the bleak stuff, whatever you want to label it as. I think the fact that there is genuine humor and entertainment value. With Lauren Graham, even with the two leads, there are moments where they all have a moment, at least. Is what makes it work. And we don't want to spoil anything in case anybody hasn't watched along with it here, but it's definitely worth a watch. I mean, I would say this is a very good movie. And if you're looking for something kind of unique too, like I think this is kind of a nice, unique, original story that, does feel different, does feel special in ways that, it doesn't feel like exactly like anything I've seen before.
Yeah.
But and that's like, it's, I feel like that's something it's getting harder and harder to say about movies.
Yeah.
And this genuinely felt unique and different and special in a really kind of fun, entertaining way. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and yeah, the Dylan O'Brien stock has gone up for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I like him a lot already. Like everything we've all mentioned, I've always enjoyed him, even in movies that I really haven't really liked the movie. I kind of dig him, and like kind of his vibe, and um, and obviously he has I think he's got um. I was gonna say, I just lost my thought. He's got a hook into the Taylor Swift world, so I'm well aware of his love there as well. So he's in the All Too Well short film that she did for that song. He's awesome in it. But yeah, I don't know. This is a good movie. It's hard, it's tough at times, but I mean, this is a very good film, and I would definitely recommend it. If anything that we've said sounds interesting to you, or if you're just trying to complete the Dylan O'Brien filmography, it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, and it resolves itself in a really unconventional way. Like I was not expecting.
Right.
Yeah, that's another thing. I guess good writing, really good writing.
Yeah, I mean, who'd have thought, right? It
Who'd
goes a
have
long
thought,
way.
man?
It
Who'd
goes
have
a
thought?
long way.
Who'd
Yeah, I
have
mean,
thought?
ending at a moment where you might think like, oh, okay.
Right,
and then as
right,
you sit with it, you're like, oh yeah, I don't need to see the next moment. I don't need to see what happens after this, because it gives you just enough sort of fuel for the fire. It's not like a mystery necessarily, but it does end on a note of like, you can choose to interpret that scene as, well, now things are going to go one way, or now this is a one-time conversation, or maybe these characters have something that lasts. But I think we did a really good job of not spoiling that movie.
Yeah,
somehow.
I don't want to. Yeah, I
No, I know. I was just thinking about how it seems like it would be very easy for us. I think that with required viewing, sometimes it's silly not to talk about plot elements. But this one, I think, because it's a recent film and it does have the high possibility that people are listening to this segment without having watched this particular movie, I think that if hopefully we just sold you on it, and I'm glad we didn't ruin it. Because I do think not knowing quite what kind of movie you're watching is a little bit part of this. Like not knowing how much, like you said, Steve, does it tilt towards the drama? Does it tilt towards the comedy? Does it tilt towards the sort of almost thriller elements that are sort of percolating in there?
I like that about it a lot.
The theme song to Kingdom Hearts is simple and clean. That's what this this was. This was a very simple and clean review.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's my turn then. I'll put up the image we put up when it's time to choose a new required viewing film. Cowboy Lizard. I should have his mouth moving. He should be the one he should say, "Hey, what's the next pick?" You don't know how long it takes a lizard to arrange a movie screening, so he likes to know first. So Lizard, I'm whispering in his ear. We'll talk about this later. But the film I am picking is one that I had on my list for a while, and then Ronald, you mentioned it a few episodes back at some point, and I said, "Oh, that's actually on my list." A film that I've been wanting to watch again for a while. I saw it a long time ago, and it seems like it's about time to revisit. From 1987. Yes, we're back in the 80s. The comedy film Largely self-financed by Robert Townsend, Hollywood Shuffle.
Oh.
And I'll just say this: it's a clean 1 hour 21 minutes, fellas. So I've given you an easy assignment. If you don't know this film, you should just know it has to do with Robert Townsend playing a guy who wants to be an actor in Hollywood, and just his encountering all the. It's almost got like a sketch format of like different vignettes and different scenes, but it's all about the absurdities of being a black actor and like what they expect you to do and the kind of stuff that you might have to do to have the sort of career you want to have, and like what it means to sell out to a largely white industry as a black man. But also there's just the comedy of commenting on the culture and stuff of the time. And I remember it being like a movie that got name checked a lot after it came out. But yeah, I mean, I can remember a few moments from it that I think will hold up, and I can think of a few moments from it that I don't know if they will hold up, but it's a funny time capsule of comedy in the 80s, but also this particular kind of thing. Like, this is early, right? I mean, Robert Townsend was ahead of a lot of people with commenting on this kind of stuff in comedy. Like a few years later, we would have In Living Color, we would have the whole, I mean, like, I think you got a couple Wayans in this, but this is like the beginning of seeing the Wayans. So, yeah, it's, I think maybe kind of an important, influential movie, even though I don't hear people talk about it that much. But I bet a lot of people who are people's influences would say this movie was influential on them or important for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's a wild time, because Keenen Ivory Wayans could not help him direct it because he was on In Living Color. So he helped him write the script, and then he just kind of disappeared. He disappeared because he was working on In Living Color, which is a very cool aside. But man, there's a documentary about Hollywood Shuffle that's really good.
Oh, cool. Maybe we'll watch that too if we've got time.
It's really
yeah, so
good.
In Living Color starts in 90. And that's obviously the big Wayans project. So if he was beginning to work on it around the time that Hollywood Shuffle was being made, that kind of tracks.
Yeah, they were like developing it, man. It was like a crazy. He talked about how like he felt kind of betrayed because it was like he had gone off to make this show while Robert was just kind of self-funding this movie, which is a classic to me.
So the Hollywood Shuffle doc is called. Do you know what the name of it is?
I don't know.
Making of doc. I was trying to let our listeners know what that's called as well. Well, I don't see it, but you can.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Maybe we can share a link or post something about it. But either way, yes, I would love to know the story. I do know that in as much as the way he made it, there was a lot of like renting equipment, because a lot of times with the way you rent stuff from these companies, you drop it off on Monday. So if you rent for Friday, you pick it up on Thursday, you pay to use it on Friday, you can't bring it back till Monday. You technically have 2 more days with the equipment. I just remember hearing stories about that kind of like
That's
penny
pretty
pinching
cool.
and stretching the dollars. But I think they shot it over like a small amount of days over a long time. Like this movie was made over a long period of time, but they only had a few, like relatively few shooting days. So yeah, looking forward to watching this one again.
The scenes in that movie I'm thinking about. Yeah, I'm excited. What is this showing on? What
It's on Tubi.
God, Tubi wins every time, man.
Tubi.
Tubi.
I was watching Tubi at a barbershop the other day and realized that they have what is it called? Ace Ventura Pet Detective Junior Kids series.
What?
Who'd have thought it? I watched it while I got my hair cut. It was fun. The kid was going for it for sure. But Tubi coming through. There we go.
Tubi coming through B.
Tubi coming through with the Luby.
With the movie. Well, a movie's a different service though. Is Mubi connected to Tubi?
I don't think
No,
so.
no.
No, no.
Is there
Tubi
a porn site
Fox.
called Booby? There should be.
Booby, Tubi, Booby. Or Luby.
Yeah. Ooh. Like how we both went. That makes us sound like we're not pro lube. We're pro lube.
Yeah, it does make us seem like we're very conservative about the bring on the loop. I don't know why we sounded like that.
Lube should be part of every act you commit in life. So, what else did we watch before we wrap up this episode? Didn't you say you saw a new Supreme film, Ronald?
Yes, I saw Marty Supreme as presented by the Kaleidoscape. Let me tell you something. This movie was just joking. No, but seriously, Marty Supreme, man, that guy was a dickhead.
The character?
Marty was a dickhead. Like, if this is any indication of who this kid was, while he was actively trying to be a ping pong player, man, he was an asshole. He just kind of moved. You know how when you're a teenager, you kind of move like a tornado. Like you don't think about too much. You know, you just kind of act. And this was very much a man, a lot of passion, zero thoughts about consequences, including, if not limited to, getting black men beat up in the 60s, or getting a woman pregnant, or holding somebody up at gunpoint, or it just doesn't. Marty's adventures do not stop. And it's a fun movie, man. It's really well done. It has that safety franticness to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like uncut gems. Just like, oh, what's gonna happen right now? It's just like something will happen, and then you're like not paying attention to it, and then it comes to kick him in the ass like a scene, two scenes after that, and that's just his life. But meeting a character that was so confident in himself from the very beginning is really empowering. It's one of those, you could watch this movie and you could be in a rut. You're like, I could do anything. I could, it has that feel to it. Watching him move around with Tyler, the Creator, and Gwyneth Paltrow is just kind of a amazing presence in it. And Odessa, I don't even know how to pronounce her last name. Ozian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gorgeous. I love her and everything. She's kind of been a force for me for a while. She was on that Netflix show, that high school show. I forget the name of it. That I thought she was really good in that. She kind of caught my attention then. But yeah, I think there's this shift, and is Timothy a star? I guess that's the conversation, and I left out of this movie feeling like he absolutely is a star. If between this and Dune you don't think he's a star, I don't know what the fuck a star is to you. I don't know what It's like what do you don't want him to lead a legion of people? You don't want him to, like, what do you want? What do you want from him? Like, what do you want him?
Well, I mean, even Wonka made a little money.
Wonka was fun, man. He is, and what's fun about him is he really attacks these movies from a very different angle. The Wonka doesn't feel like Marty Supreme, doesn't feel like Dune, doesn't feel like, and maybe we're seeing this man. There's a term that I keep hearing. This person's in their bag. Like, are we just seeing the beginnings of him being in his bag? Like his bag of tricks in terms of acting and his range and stuff like that. And Marty Supreme just feels like one of those markers of a movie, regardless of it's nominated and that counts for something. I need to stop thinking in terms of like, did it win, did it not win? It's nomination is a special thing as well. It'll always say, Oscar nominated performance on the box art of this, whatever A24 puts out, the 80 versions of Marty Supreme they put out, because they will do it. It says gang gang. Yeah, just overall special movie. You can feel it in the air. I don't know how I feel about the time versus the soundtrack. You get what I'm saying? Like, it kind of
It uses like anachronistic music that aren't from the
it's
era.
not as jarring as what was the one that was the most jarring?
A Knight's Tale.
A Knight's Tale was wiggity whack about.
But it
the
also
music.
it sort of defined that practice of saying
movie.
you don't have to. I haven't seen A Knight's Tale.
Yeah,
I just
but
know that
it's
it had
not
a
as
modern
bad.
soundtrack.
A Knight's Tale isn't as bad as what's the rich man that brings people to his house? Literally had Jay-Z in it.
Oh, The
rapping
Great
in it.
Gatsby.
The Great Gatsby. That was, I could have thrown that movie out of the window at that point. Like, I love rap. I love the exploration of it in movies, but if I'm in the olden times where if Jay-Z started rapping this song back when that movie existed, they say, "Hey, get out of here, black ass." You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any
I gotta
sense.
say, Ronald, the guy you just did, for the time, he's a pretty polite racist.
He's pretty polite.
There's some ruder words
Yes.
that they might have used.
You know what I mean?
No, I totally know what you mean. I feel like I at least get what they're doing there. Like the Gatsby to Jay-Z kind of comparison of the sort of excess and the sort of opulence and stuff. I get that, and I feel like there's something valid about that, but it doesn't always mean that it's going to work. That when you're watching the film, that it's not going to kind of take you out of the whatever a period piece is trying to establish. Obviously, that's the intention, but I kind of agree with you. I like to think of it as kind of fitting a little bit more.
For sure. Forever Young shouldn't be in Marty Supreme, you know what I mean? Like, but somehow they snuck it into the soundtrack. I'm like, this is wild. I guess, but we're on this ride, like it worked somehow. Like, but it also made me feel strange. I thought it was a really good movie, though. I think you guys would enjoy it.
So, is it true? I just want to check to see if I understand that Marty Supreme. That's just like Marty, but they put sour cream on him, right?
Yeah. It's just regular Marty, and then they just like. Another thing is he doesn't know how to talk to people. He's just like very much like, like he'll meet somebody 20 years older than him, and he'll be like, "Hey." So you just like to act like a dickhead all the time? Is that you have like a stupid face? Is that how you work? It's like it's
well, I knew it had to be bad because everybody's talking about what a fucking asshole this character is. And I'm like, for that many people to make that comment, he must really be a piece of work. So
yeah, like on the spectrum, weird. Like he'll like start a conversation in the middle of a conversation. Like it's just like, what is wrong with him, man? Like. It feels like they had enough accounts of him that they really kind of fleshed out this interesting character, because I didn't know he was this kind of person. I'm glad that they captured him on film. Like it's I'm in. I want to see it again.
All right, Steve, have you seen anything that you want to mention?
I forgot about this, but I did see something that I wanted to mention because I loved it, and that was the new Bart Layton crime thriller, Crime 101.
Oh, okay.
How was that?
I just said I loved it,
but how was it?
Genuinely did. Aaron and I did this as our Valentine's Day movie. She wanted to see it for the Hemsworth. I wanted to see it for
the Hemsworth
and others. Yeah. But I mentioned before, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I think like Bart Layton is someone I've been very much watching for years. He has only done like 2 or 3 feature films that I guess I don't know if I guess that's all like feature wise, but he did The Imposter, the doc from 2012, which is like one of the best docs I've seen in the
we love that
long time.
We've talked about that on the show. Yeah,
he also did American Animals, which was from 2018, another amazing crime thriller, art heist film. Evan Peters, who else was in that? A bunch of awesome. Who else was in that? Now I say Blake Jenner's
Barry
in it.
Keoghan in that?
Barry Keoghan is in it. Yeah, he's in Crime 101 as well. But yeah,
Mark
I love
Ruffalo.
this guy, and I'm excited to see anything he does. But yeah, Crime 101 is awesome. Think just yeah, straight crime thriller, vibes of a Michael Mann film. It's got that kind of tone to it. But yeah, Hemsworth, Ruffalo, Barry Keoghan, Haley Berry, everybody is really great in the movie. It's got a really great vibe to it. The tone of it, Hemsworth's great. Jennifer Jason Leigh has a small role. Tate Donovan's in it. Corey Hawkins is in it. A definitely his bigger film in terms of this director kind of like kind of stepping up and leveling up. um yeah, man, just like a really cool heist thriller, great characterizations, character performances, um motivations, class dynamics, capitalism. Like there's a lot of great themes in the movie that really kind of, I think, play into each other really well. And yeah, honestly, like it's the kind of movie I want to watch in the theater regularly, and they don't really have a lot of these. So, if this movie registered for anyone, or if you've thought about it, or hey, maybe I'll check it out, like go see it in the theater. It looks amazing. The cinematography is great. Score is awesome. But yeah, you just see some movie stars on the screen. It's like you don't see them in these kind of crime thrillers anymore. And yeah, I genuinely loved this film. Like it'll be, it's gonna stick around for a while, I hope, on uh my list here. I mean, it's early days, but like so many things worked so well for me. Ruffalo's doing Ruffalo as a detective. He's got that mode he gets into, but he's great in the movie. Um, but yeah, definitely check this out if you're into that kind of movie because it's in theaters now. Uh, did okay over the weekend. I think it kind of overperformed a little bit, but again, it's like these budgets are kind of out of control, I guess. Doesn't help a movie's story to do that. But again, you have Haley Berry, Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo in a crime thriller, on the big screen. And yeah, uh, Don Winslow, who's an amazing, crime writer. He's one of the it's his short story, but he co-wrote the script. But yeah, I loved it. You should definitely, Ronald, you're gonna love it too. I think you both will. But it's great. It's great. But Crime
Oh,
101 is in theaters. It's
Steve,
a
I've
must
been
see.
waiting. This weekend,
There you go. Green light. Green light. Go.
I intend to watch it in a very specific way. Frederick is showing it in a
Oh, cool.
4DX.
Cool.
So it's a late screening, like a
Mm,
9:50, so that'll be fun. Just get jerked around in your seat.
that's cool. That's cool, dude. Yeah, you're gonna really enjoy it. I
No, cool.
have no doubt.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yes, much excite. Yeah, that's the one I wanted to mention. That's all I got.
Well, I have a little sort of double-sided coin, I suppose, because I had time the other day to see a couple of movies, and I saw one movie that I loved, and one movie that, just to be clear, I hated.
You said it like Jerry Seinfeld just to be clear. I hate it.
Well, I was about to say, just to be clear, I want to say hate because it's the opposite of love, and maybe I don't actually hate this film. But, then as I was saying it, I was like, you know what? I kind of hated it. The one I hated was The Strangers Chapter 3. I didn't expect it to be good. It was on the screen, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to see it through. I think this means I've seen all the Strangers films on the big screen, and two of them, one of them I think is like a classic. One of them I think is like a near classic. And then there's three that just might as well not exist. And that's a bad batting average. There is supposedly a 4.5 hour edit of these three films together with extra stuff that is supposed to be coming out, or that they.
Oh,
It sounds like torture. If they said they were going to edit it down to 2.5 hours or 3 hours, because the problem with these movies over the course of three films. This last one really does feel like, hey, we said we'd do a trilogy, so here we go. We got this last piece. But these movies do not need, if you put them all together, they do not need to be as drawn out as they are. So it to me seems absurd to do it a 4.5 hour version. I could see a 3 hour version of them maybe working a little better. Each movie does have its own little separate thing it's trying to do. It's just that at the end of this trilogy, what they have done is tried to answer and explain all or most of the mysteries of this world. But that is such a weird thing to do, because what makes The Strangers work is the chilling aspect of the reason that they're doing this killing is because you were home. And everything about it feels like you don't need to know anything outside of that. And then the second movie just shows you, oh, well, those three people who did that in the first movie, they're doing it again to different people, but it doesn't really get into them and their relationships and try to explain them. So it still feels like it's true to the concept. But by the time this third movie ends, it's like you go, oh yeah, I now know why they say, is Tamara home or is Tamara home? I now know why they say, because you're here or because you're home. And these movies, they had to change it. They can't say because you're home, because none of the people in this trilogy are at home, and they're all like visiting this town. So I don't know. It's just there's a couple of good scares in this. A couple of good quick jump scares. There's a couple of moments that are sort of effectively done in terms of the just the horror of what's happening. But overall, this is not good. I remember telling you guys there's a stretch in the second one that is actually kind of, in slasher movie sequel terms, kind of a fun section of like cat and mouse chasing around that just escalates and escalates, and it actually involves an element that is similar to something that happens in Send Help. Send Help and this film have a similar kind of wildlife involved. But I would say it still doesn't earn its reason to be. Like, if I looked back at any of these three movies, I might pick that section from the second one and say, this is some effective set piece. But I don't know that one effective set piece in three movies is a good, is a good record. So yeah, did not like The Strangers Chapter 3. Maybe I've downplayed these movies so much that if you ever watch them, you'll go, oh, they're not that bad. Maybe. So maybe by saying hate, I'm creating a window where someone can crawl through it and enjoy something about this film. But I did not like it. And the one that I loved, or pretty well loved, laughed throughout, but whenever I heard about this movie, I was like, I got to check this out, and I wanted to see it on the big screen because all the festival reviews for it were so strong. And it is Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie.
I want to see it
bad. The new Matt Johnson joint. Yes. Matt Johnson of The Dirties and Operation Avalanche and Blackberry, and the upcoming Anthony Bourdain biopic starring Dominic Sessa, which sounds really good. Based on how good Blackberry was, I sort of feel like maybe Matt Johnson has a handle for taking on like an unconventional sort of nonfiction thing. But this movie's just funny as hell, and it's just good-natured, laid back, funny. If you've seen Matt Johnson and think he's funny, then you know the way in which this film can be funny. Jay McCarroll, who is the other star of the film, is also really good. He's a little bit the straight man, but they're both fun and funny in this. It's based on a web series called Nirvana, the band, the show, and that's Nirvana with Nirvanna. It's to explain it, it's like, you don't need to know anything about the show to see this movie. It helps if you understand a little context. But what this movie does, if you've seen the trailer, I won't say anything about it, except I will say it involves time travel. And one of the things they do is repurpose old footage of these guys from like 2008, of them when they were much younger, and they integrate it with the guys now. So there's a little bit of that Back to the Future 2 thing of going back and seeing the old movie, but from a different perspective kind of thing. So that's all I'll say about this, is that there is a little bit of intercutting, and it's done extremely well, and it's very funny, and they don't overdo anything. It's so Canadian, man, this, because it's so smart and so funny, and yet it doesn't, as broad as it gets, it doesn't overplay any of its elements. And the way they achieve the time travel, when it's explained, Matt Johnson, because they know they're being filmed, this is like a mockumentary, they know they're being filmed, so he can look to the camera and say some things that are very meta. And one of the things he says, when you understand how the time travel works, he actually turns to the camera kind of disbelieving and say, no, that's too stupid, isn't it? But that's really how it works. And the other thing that's very meta is they do reference Back to the Future, and this is in the trailer, where he says, he turns, because they're humming the Back to the Future music, and then Matt's like, wait a minute, no, we don't have the rights to use that. And then he turns to the camera and says, if you're seeing this in the theater, you should thank your lucky stars because this movie's only being shown once, or something like that. But no, it's just very fun. I mean, again, to keep saying it's funny, I don't want to oversell the charms of this movie, but I just thoroughly enjoyed it, and it really does take you on a ride. There's a couple of moments that are just like, holy shit. And because of the nature of the movie, you see how they can kind of get out of certain situations they get themselves into, but it still is like such an interesting spin. And it you know, it's the two-man band that they're trying. It's a little bit Flight of the Conchords. The whole thing is they want to have a show at the Rivoli, which is a big, important kind of seminal club in Toronto. And everything around that was the plot of the original series, is they want to get a show at the Rivoli. And the gag of this movie is like, oh, it's 18 years later, and they're still trying to get a show at the same club, and they still haven't done it yet, you know? So, very Flight of the Conchords in that sense. But yeah, if I'm making it sound good, or if you like these guys, you like this, you know, Matt Johnson, you've seen his stuff. I think you can find, there's the Nirvana, the band, the show was a web series, and then it was an actual television show. So there's like a web series version of it that ran for a couple of years, and then later it was brought back as a, I think on Viceland, as an actual slightly more produced show. So there's plenty of this material out there you can find if you want to see what the spirit of this film is. But this is all new. And I suppose to fans of that show, this is going to be like a great, like, oh, I can't believe they came back and did something like this. But if you just watch this movie, you get enough of a taste of what the background is. You just sense these guys have been filming themselves for a long time, and they've been talking about like how they're going to, you know, their set list and what they're going to open with and how they're going to get the crowd. And it's just very, very silly and right up my alley. Good, silly fun.
Cool. Can't wait to see that.
Makes a nice double bill with The Strangers Chapter 3.
Sounds like it. What else? Is that a show, or what's remaining?
I think that's a show. Unless Ronald, wait, did you have a Let's Get Physical? A quick physical?
Oh, I had two physical things.
A quick little physical. Ronald got a new whiteboard. Nope.
Oh, backfired.
Nope.
Boogie
Wow,
Nights.
nice.
That's one. And this is like 50% off right now, or was.
Now it's zooming on his face.
I love this.
Oh, sick.
4K
It
collection.
became completely blurry.
There we go.
Fred Krugs. And it comes with some 3D glasses. Yeah, and it comes with 3D glasses, yeah.
Bitch.
This is now on sale for $60, bitch. As compared to $150. Like, this is like a crazy deep discount right now. Well, the map says we're fucked.
Oh god, that's the funniest moment in any Nightmare on Elm Street film.
It's so crazy, man.
That's like a joke out of an Airplane movie or a
really
scary
is.
movie or something. All right, that's a show.
Now that's it. Movieshmovie.com is the website. You can go there to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you prefer, or listen right there on that website. You also go to the youtube.com/movieshmovie podcast. To watch videos, to listen to videos, to do both at the same time, to comment on videos, to thumbs up videos, to subscribe to channels, specifically that one, and to hit bells to get notifications. You can do a lot of stuff on YouTube. I don't know if you've ever hit the site before.
That was ringing a bell. Does that make sense? I'm holding.
There's things there, yeah. But yeah, if you could do any of the things relating to that, subscriptions, comments, notifications, we'd appreciate it all. There's a lot of great videos on YouTube. Ronald mentioned Marty Supreme earlier. So, he's got a little series running there where he kind of does the reviews for Kaleidoscape. So that's the most recent one. What is that called? Home Cut or Home?
Yeah, Home Cut. Yeah.
So you can go there if you're interested in that platform product, also just, additional kind of physical media reviews. It's all on the YouTubes. But yeah, we'll be back next week. John's pick, Hollywood Shuffle. We'll talk about that for required viewing and whatever else we see between now and then, obviously. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, you made our day. Thanks.
Bye.